one of those, I think there's somebody from the ESP probably went down to raise awareness on climate change. And after the workshop, I was sitting down with my granduncle, and then he told me, you know, a white man told us, come down, move the village down, to have easier access. And now 60 years later, in my lifetime, I see another white man come and tell us that we will have to move back up. And that still makes no sense to me.
As the Earth warms, as our atmosphere traps more and more radiation, and we get warming of the planet, what happens is that the water also warms, or the glaciers and the sea ice melt. And when the water warms, it expands just like it does on the stove to boil. And when the glaciers melt, and when all of the ice on the planet melts, or when some of it melts, it begins to go into the ocean and also generate sea level rise. At this point, about 50% of the sea level rise is from what they call thermal expansion, and the remainder is from the melting of the ice. Storm surges are getting worse and worse. The destructive part of storm surge is going to damage coastal ecosystems. It's going to create sediment loads onto our coral reefs. It's going to create destructions like we've already begun to see with Tropical Cyclone Pam in Vanuatu. So those sort of destructive events will have more impact because of sea level rise and affect coastal ecosystems as well as coastal communities and coastal communities' ability to provide food for themselves.
Sea level rise threatens every important things for the existence of the coastal ecosystem, not only just human. All the biodiversity there in the coastal ecosystem, and also the important variables or the important things that support the existence of humans. So if the sea level rise continue to come, coastal erosion will go, inundation, intrusion, water table get diminished, crops cannot grow, how can we grow? So it will all lead to food insecurity, nutritional limitations, and major loss of land. So people in most vulnerable areas like that, they just have no option but to either leave to go further inland, or if there's no inland, then they will just have to go somewhere else. And that's sad, that's very sad. In relation to culture, there are two major things that are very critical here. The increased frequency and intensity of hazards, and also the rising of sea level. For islands, in the Pacific that are very small, such as Tuvalu and Kiribati, and the atoll islands, and also coastal communities in smaller islands, they will lead to forced migration to other countries. So because of that, it will affect the identity, the cultural pride, the right to exist of these communities. Even before people get migrated to other countries because of sea level rise impacts, we will feel a lot of major threats in terms of security of traditional communities in the Pacific.
Pacific cultures have been resilient for decades, for centuries, and for millennia. They've adapted to changing conditions time after time after time. So will Pacific cultures in 50 years from now look like Pacific cultures today? Probably not. But Pacific cultures are by nature resilient, and Pacific people are not victims. But this is a problem that's being done by others, that Pacific cultures will have to look back to their ancestors, to look forward and find a way to be ever more resilient. And the rate of change is going to be faster than anything that's happened before.
Tona nito tamonga na to sa titi kone tago makarana nito benua. Kan benu may was-was. Kalau dua teknik kampung ada nanggung bersama kamu. Dan dari itu setahun itu pelatihan ni Sera PostGrad Diploma wai na benua. Sa bus ko tang cakap melu bitir. Sa orang hak yang boleh.
The members came with an initiative of planting the mangroves to replace those mangroves that being damaged. They brought a source of life. Also as a natural barrier, not only to wave barrier, they also use as a wind barrier.
At the moment, we've been suffering during high tide as seawater goes in the village and flooded the whole village. Some farms which is nearby the house, root crops are affected, and we do hope that whatever we are doing will combat problems that has been encountered at the moment. We choose to plant mangroves since we are near the coast, and as you can see around us, we are surrounded by mangroves, and we are just utilizing the available resources around us. What we are doing now is we are combating climate change, whatever is the issues that is contributed towards global warming and climate change. The primary focus is on climate change, and the secondary one is the source of living. The coastal area has been, like the soil has risen up just because of these mangroves. I think the roots have get hold of each other and support the coast. And also it's a source of living. It is important to teach these young children because of the future generations. They will be the one who will be taking responsibilities of the Vanua, and they are the one who is going to advocate on climate change in years to come. I think it is time now for us to do something about it. So our belief and the youth group believes that teaching these young children will bring about good changes and healthy living in Vunko. Rising sea level is real here in Vunko. So we do hope that whatever initiative that we are doing will combat that and bring about good living in Vunko.
Saya ador cukup tu nama tangkali project kelam itu wali suai talamai konan rakin bula makau anda utukin na itu liu kena tahu wakil liu na kau konan tu mai ador utukin na wada liu nongo kita sari plan tal cukup na toko replan tak tal cukup na kona sul kalau ambit tu mai liu ini nongo sakai labe cita kena non rambula au nambe batagaira kima mi vital nota ka saya tahu erni wali suai talamai na rakin bula makau tiko na ngauna ke mamendo tua patu tio ngoi mata sawa ke nang karabi me rani vale sui tiko me taru tiko na vindendre esa ya bujo ngau na ngauna ngo kitu sa sutam sa ko nan rendre vale sa singa de auto batai liu ke nan do vili ba ke chumai nam bula ba kor baka kira na tosota ke ni wait ken tosota ke ni wait ise tosota ke chuma an rendre nam bula rambai le usar tiko na bala ya go tiko sa sandu sa na kambi bibi kim ba sinanga ito sen ne vale tendo na empat tendo na kento go sabe tosonga ba via u na ya uan tona tos ke mami bakila tu nan duindui sa tu kone me bi korokoro nani tu koro sa te me tok tina tama nan rendre nimbula sa stabi diploma me paleta na kena pada ni tu mai kona wai ngo sa pada vali sa na zai sa la kutunga na ualu na wangu no tu na ualle puni ma ndona pular na lawan tona u yong sabi ma rawanga sa kitu sa sini klaro ngai la pada na ka sa tu
Iese have come with this mangrove initiative planting to mitigate against this rather nature which is we call the sea. They are trying all their best for the sake of our people, how secure the social and the very survival of our community. The sea level is impacting us economically, socially, and even psychologically. A lot of changes that have been noticed that's happening to our community. King waves that's pounding our shores in terms of this high rise in the sea level that's having a very big negative impact on our community. Like for instance, the intrusion of seawater going right into our various communities, it's certainly having a negative impact on our food security, could relate on the impact and the increased vulnerability that our communities all over coastal areas they are facing.
There water lens on the atolls were completely infiltrated with salt water and other sea life and creatures. There was a lot of diarrheal diseases as a result. In addition, they have had to transition to eating a lot more imported foods like rice and imported flour because their local crops aren't growing anymore. And every time they plant a garden, the king tide comes and washes it away, or the more intense tropical storms come and submerge everything. And the reality is very severe for those families that are living primarily subsistence lifestyle. In the future, a lot of people will be worried that they will be separated from their families, have to move to Fiji and have their village dynamic shift a little bit. But it will be very difficult to maintain a lot of the practices that are very distinctly tied to the islands. And that will be more difficult to continue in the developing world if they're forced to move.
Project Southern Pacific is a youth-led movement on climate change, but we have a focus on the Pacific, and our aim is to engage with young people around the Pacific in finding solutions to climate change and promote sustainable development within the Pacific region. With the Project Survival Pacific, we have worked with a lot of young people around Fiji, not just the coastal communities, but inland as well. Our main focus has been so far and first to educate the young people, for them to be aware of climate change, what it is, to make that link and connections of how climate change is affecting them. I think that's the first step to take in terms of learning what the issue is and making the linkages, and then they'll be able to find those connections and the links in their communities and try to find solutions to it. So Project Southern Pacific has grown up to be a prominent youth-led movement on climate change, and it's getting recognition not just nationally in terms of within the government system or the private sector, but also with other stakeholders around the world. Our projects are being followed by various ambassadors, various diplomats around the world. Our success has been based on that youth can partner with our leaders today, with the different stakeholders, and we can bring something very, very constructive towards the discussions.
This is where we see the leadership of the Pacific emerging time and time again. We had Tuvalu calling for a 1.5 degree cap on warming in Copenhagen. Last year, in Lima, the Solomon Islands began to lead the coalition to have the least developed countries stand behind 1.5 degrees of warming. And with the Suva Declaration on Climate Change at the beginning of September, we had all of the Pacific leaders coming together to stand and ask for a global commitment of the world leaders for a planetary guardrail of 1.5 degrees Celsius. Commitment to 1.5 degrees C will help the Pacific, but it will also help the rest of the world not have to invest as much money in the long run to recover from climate change. Because we don't want to be recovering from climate change, we want to prevent climate change.
Climate change is no longer a dream. I think we all know that it is happening. The science is very clear, it is happening. The experiences of communities are also very, very clear. Just want the world to do the right thing. And set up their targets, because it's not only for the Pacific, it's for the whole world. Yeah, I hope the leaders of the world, and especially the biggest emitters countries, both in the developing and the developed world, will make very realistic targets. Leaders in Paris, and for the Pacific warriors and all our negotiators in IOSIS to keep up the good fight. Never give up, because they're not only fighting for IOSIS, they're also fighting for the world.
Kami mati tulile bertunggu di orang tua Pasifik atau Australia di sila di suatu lagi mati tulile menggunakan kerana rabi to kan tak mana kena sa politik mau juga na nala itu orang Pasifik kembali kena pisau juga ni lagi sa tarik mau sa pembuat kami lawa sampai suka cikin mau bunuh kerana keringa merah itu kan tak mana mati tulile nala sa tarik mau.
We belong to our country, we belong to our land. And we would like you leaders to think of us in whatever you do, whatever projects that you do, developments that you do, please do take heed of the small islands that is here in the Pacific.
Au nakatamo na barita kana bona I burumura se na maten tu doat na nona vengra kere van bimbisara kere roni ki to revi bototo na lo moni chiku jungo sa lele una ki mami wili sa lele sumbuna ni me banua na ni mami koro na ni mami ngele ki mami wa tau kena chiku na kena sa lili bototo sarcho mai na viva mati ni wayo sa kere sa van bimbi na maten tu doat kere roni ki to me revi ke me ki to buke
Kia waka me wakalelei taki. Nei katakat ni buru-buru mai na rua kina ndua kina vimama. Una katak vikitu. Me kitu umbulo kitu. Me kitu rau ni umbule. Me ciunga. Santu serangan bukum. Ya ke mami altak. Ni tumbula. Ke ni tumat. Ena siang ni tau. Rawangan ni tau ena lom ni valu. Ena valu ko. Ena siang ni bakaya lain. Me atau nangon. Ke mam sanayali.
The COP21, I would raise the issue of the fact that people are now not having access to clean drinking water, a sustainable food source on many of these islands, and shelter. If all the people have to move and spread out, how they would be able to maintain their sense of community, culture, and identity as they're spread throughout the Pacific. And I think there should be something done for these communities because it's not their fault that this is happening. I think it is our duty as people from the developed world to take responsibility for what we have contributed and to make changes and provide help for these communities.
Every year, we should think of us. Talk about several issues. How our people could sustain themselves in these hard times. Like I was saying, as dots in the Pacific, we should consider how we'll survive.
Winter days, there are white waves in the sky. There are white waves in the sky falling. On warmer days when the heat waves start to rise, when the heat waves start to rise, we're fighting. Waves are crashing and it's time to run away. Yeah, it's time to run away to high ground. I look beyond me, see the rivers and the streams. Yeah, the rivers and the streams, they're flooding.
So why do people turn away, not willing to fight, thinking everything is gonna be alright? When there's a problem in the way we live our lives, yeah, the way we live our lives inside. Can one time mankind stop to think? Can we stop to think of what we have become? It's not about the way we look and talk and feel, everything that isn't real at all. We've gotta change.